Hello again. So today is a couple of days before, tomorrow's New Year's Eve, is what I'm trying to say. And like most people at the moment, I'm thinking about New Year's resolutions, and I never actually make New Year's resolutions usually because I know I'm never going to stick to them, so what's the point of making them? But this year, I'm kind of thinking about them because pretty much every year previous to this, I've had massive passion in my life for whatever I'm pursuing at the time. I tend to change career focus every couple of years, and sometimes I'll go in a completely different direction. Sometimes I will just build upon what I'm doing, but it's always been quite big. I feel like I want to change my little part of the world in some way, or change other people's worlds. I mean, not my world. But this last year, I've been completely lacking any kind of motivation, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the labels that psychologists and psychiatrists want to put on me, and the realization that the way that I think about the world isn't normal, and that it's actually perceived as a mental illness instead of just being me. So, just to clarify, my current labels are bipolar type 2 and borderline personality disorder, which is still in the process of being diagnosed because apparently you can't just do some test or something, which sounds pretty easy to me. Anyway, there's my cat. Isn't she cute? Sorry, off track, focus. So, right, what am I going to do with my year? I can't remember a time really when I didn't have just the most huge amount of passion and drive and knowing that, I can achieve anything if I just put my mind to it, and, having big dreams. And I've been watching a lot of TED Talks today to try and figure out, why I'm not feeling any ambition at the moment, and what I can do about that to, try and inspire myself. And what a lot of the talks that I've been watching have been saying is that we set goalposts for ourselves. And once we achieve that goalpost, we then set that goalpost further away, so that instead of actually getting to that goalpost and achieving our dreams and being happy, we push happiness further away because we think, well, I've achieved that, so now I have to move on to the next thing. And there's also that the theory that, people say if you work hard, then you'll be happy. But then there's the other reverse psychology of that if you do what you're passionate about and have a good work-life balance, then that makes you happy, rather than working hard makes you happy. And this past year, I've pretty much, I ended up doing all my financials the other day to work out how much I had earned this year. And it was a decent amount for the hours that I've worked. I've pretty much probably averaged out to be 3 hours a day, 5 days a week that I've actually worked this year. And it's a pretty decent wage for what I've actually worked. Now, what have I spent the other sort of 4 hours that I should be working doing? Well, a lot of it this year has been napping. At first it was napping because I had a severe depression about 8 months ago, and that actually lasted for about 6 months, that severe depression, and that's when I started getting counselling through a psychologist. And then once I started seeing a psychiatrist, who then started diagnosing me with other stuff, she put me on some meds which were mood stabilizers, and I've only been on those for like the past 2 months, maybe 2.5 months actually. No, 2 months. And I had to increase those every few weeks. And every few weeks, I just found myself napping more and more and more and more and more. And I just kind of, my friends would be saying, "Hey, what have you been up to?" And I'd say, napping. And, I just kind of say that, I would get up and, at least I'm doing, 10 to 15 minutes of resistance band Pilates on my lounge room floor, which is just a little body thing that I'm trying to get into to help increase my mental state at the start of the day. So by increasing my endorphins, it helps me not to get up and then go and straight have a nap. It helps me to release a little bit of pleasure so that then I can concentrate and do 2 hours work. After the 2 hours work though, I am so exhausted that I have to have a nap. So this is usually at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That I am so exhausted, I need to have a nap. This is not normal. And a lot of people kept saying, oh, it's because you're on that holiday mentality, when you're on holidays, you always have an afternoon siesta because, the more you sleep, the more you feel like you need sleep. But I kind of knew that it was a little bit more than that. So a couple of days ago, I ran out of my new what are they called? Mood stabilizer meds. Excuse me. And I decided that, well, if it is those that are making me sleepy, let's see what happens if I go off them. And I'd already checked with my psychiatrist when I went on them in the first place, what happens if I stop taking them? And I said, will I have any adverse reactions like you do if you go off antidepressants? How you start having lightning zaps and it's crazy. You go all paranoid and shit. So she said, no, you won't have any reactions like that, but don't go off them. So I went off them. So that was 1.5 days, 2 days maybe that I'd been off them. And I already feel so much more awake, despite the fact that I'm laying down right now. I'm completely awake and do not feel like napping. I'm feeling so much more focused and, not focused is not the right word, because those tablets actually help me to concentrate without going from thought to thought to thought to thought. But I felt completely foggy and completely just in a daze. And when I was talking to my family over the Christmas break, whom I haven't seen in 6 months or so, I found, if they asked me a question or something, there was a couple of times in conversations where my answer to a question was no. And seriously, that was my reaction, because I was that foggy and just drugged out that I just could not comprehend how to answer that question, and literally the words came out of my mouth. So I knew that was a bit of a flag to say, maybe these aren't the right mood stabilizers for you. So anyway, I'm quite happy now that I have a little bit of brain power and I can actually stay awake for longer than a couple of hours at a time. And hopefully this is going to help me try and figure out what I want to do with this year. I'm a creative person, as a lot of us bipolar people are. And I enjoy writing, and I enjoy video blogging, and I enjoy designing, whether it be graphic design or furniture design, clothing design, any of that. I do all of that, but my main occupation is as a graphic designer and product photographer. But what I really want to do is actually focus on some more passion projects. So I'm kind of feeling like, yeah, graphic design, great. I've always known, I've been trained how to do that, and I've always loved doing that, but it's not, to me, it's a job. It's not, it is a passion of mine, but it doesn't inspire me so much. So maybe what I need to focus on is inspiring myself in the graphic design field rather than just doing my job. I need to actually inspire myself to do better graphic design. And I also want to try and do some more projects where I can build passive income from my other passions. So from video blogging, from teaching, I'm going to write some ebooks, I'm going to do some online courses, and that kind of thing. So that's what I think I want to do with my year, but it's just really hard to sort of come to the realization that, you know, is it my diagnosis of bipolar type 2 and borderline personality disorder that's making me feel like these, you know, the passion inside of me is a little bit dead, because it's not me, it's not just my personality, it's not just the way I do things, it's considered a mental illness. And I kind of don't like that it's an illness. I kind of think, well, why does it have to be considered an illness? Can't it not be seen as a gift? Obviously, there's lots of amazingly creative, famous people that have bipolar and other mental disorders. So, and I also recently watched a TED Talk by, what is her name? Temple Grandin, who was diagnosed with autism when she was 4 years old and told that she would never speak. So not only did she learn to speak at 4 years old, after her mother said, I'm not accepting that, she also went to college, and she had a mind that thought in pictures. So, you know, the way that she would construct things in her mind was all done with images. And she could remember every single thing that she'd ever seen, basically. And she could visualize new things that she wanted to create in her mind in just perfect three-dimensional clarity. And she actually went on to create amazing systems for cattle ranches, so dipping systems for cattle to keep the cattle calm, keep them from being stressed, and in turn produce better meat for us, and through the slaughter process as well, keep them calm, stop as many deaths in the dipping process, not in the slaughter process, because they're going to die anyway. But yeah, so it's all about, she learned to read animals and their patterns, and learned how to keep them calm and, you know, produce happier and better flowing and better functionality in cattle stations. And to this day, I think it's something like 50% of the systems used in a lot of the cattle ranches in America are designed by Temple Grandin. So she was this person who really, really struggled with with being social, because she didn't understand the way that she was meant to react. She didn't understand the way that normal people reacted. Normal. But she decided that her autism was a gift. It was not an illness. It was not a diagnosis. She saw the world in a completely different way that most people did not see it, and therefore she could put that to good use. And I think that that's a great way to look at mental illness. Maybe we don't call it mental illness. Maybe we call it something like mental differences. We are different thinkers. We don't comprehend the same things. We don't comprehend things the same way as people in the normal world, because sometimes we comprehend them better, and we should use that. And that's it. I'm going to go and watch a film, and then I'm going to go and design a dress for New Year's Eve, and then I'm going to go and do my tax. What a day. Woohoo! Okay, bye.